Hey guys, today I wanted to share some of the books that I'm excited about for the next half of the year. Kind of like anticipated releases from June-ish till December-ish. I actually don't know if I have any for December. I feel like most books are kind of released 3 months ahead of time, so I'm not sure if I'm going to have another update to this later in the year, but these are ones I'm excited about. I think all but one are from authors that I've read before. So I feel like these are like anticipated releases and almost confidently recommendations as well. Because I'm not very good at like reading the back or the summary of a book and then being like, oh yeah, that sounds good. I really have to either have read the author or have heard like really good things from people before. So I feel confident in saying these are pretty much recommendations as well. Okay, let's just start with June. So right at the beginning of June 1st, I think On the Cliffs of Foxglove Manor is coming out. This is Jamie Jo Wright's new book, and I am super excited about it. I'm actually already reading it. I got the ARC, I got the ebook, and I think the physical copy is in the mail. But where I live, in Canada, things take time, so when it comes out, I'm going to be showing that because I'm excited. But this is a kind of like dual timeline, historical mystery, usually suspense with a little bit of romance kind of thing. I've really enjoyed her books that I've read before, so I'm excited to read another one of hers. This one is set in a manor that is, I think it's an old folks home in like present day, but in past, I don't remember what it was. I think it's kind of like, I don't know, it's got very much like eerie feelings, and I'm excited to read that one. Then there are a few books for July. We have Carrie Stewart Park's new book, Woman in Shadow. I actually read the arc of this a few months ago and really enjoyed it. So it's about a woman who goes to a like corporate retreat ranch thing. She's kind of been asked to investigate some stuff, and like things go down. I feel like Carrie Stewart Parks, she is not the normal Christian suspense writer. I feel like things happen quickly in her books, and I really enjoy that. And I felt like that one was a wild ride all the way through. She always has some kind of little twist I don't see coming, and I enjoyed that one. And then Alexander McCall Smith, who writes the number one Ladies Detective Agency, has a book coming out, and I don't think that this one is part of a series. I need to look this up now. It's called it is part of a series. It's a Detective Varg series, which I have only read like the number one Ladies Detective Agency series. I did just recently haul a couple from a little free library actually, and I haven't tried that other series yet, but this is a completely different one. This one's called, the book is called The Man with a Silver Sabe, I don't know. I need to read more Alexander McCall Smith apparently. I love the African vibes of the number one Ladies Detective Agency, not necessarily how long the title is. So I'm curious about his other ones. I don't know where this person is from. His name is Ulf Varg. I don't know if that's, yes, he's the detective. That makes sense. That doesn't necessarily sound African, but I'd be curious to read more of his books. Oh, and then in July there is an updated version of, what is the book called? The book is called Church History in Plain Language by Bruce Shelley. This is one that I have not read before, but I was almost going to buy the 4th edition because my friend has, I think, the 3rd one. She said that was good, and then I was going to buy the 4th, and then I saw the 5th edition is coming out right away, so I want to get like the newest version, obviously, and I think it's just like the history of the church, and that sounds really interesting to me. Then in August we've got a couple coming out, and the one that I'm really excited about is Enola Holmes and the Black Baroche. I don't know how to pronounce that. So Enola Holmes, there's like 6 books in the series, and I think she stopped writing like 10 years ago, and now this new one's coming out. I haven't read the actual description about it, but I'm curious because the whole Netflix movie came out, and then I'm wondering, is there like a renewed interest in the series obviously because of that, so then she wanted to capitalize on that and write another one. So I'm curious to see if it's as good as the rest of the series. I still only read the first book, but I'm really hoping to read the rest of the series this summer. And then another one that's coming out in August is called Secrets in the Mist. I always want to say midst, but it's The Mist. That's by Morgan L. Boosie, who wrote The Mark of the Raven that I love so much. And this is like a Christian steampunk, I don't even know what, almost like fantasy-esque. The cover looks amazing, and I love her books, and so I'm really excited to read that one. I'm gonna keep saying that. Like, I'm excited to read all of these. That's why they're on my anticipated releases. I just don't know much about them because I don't like to look a whole lot up. Okay, then September is like kind of like the holy grail of book releases this month or this year, because the Hawthorne Legacy is coming out. I still haven't done my May wrap up, but I read the Inheritance Games and like I had so much fun with that book, listening to it on audio, and this is the second part of it. There's definitely some things going on that were not answered in the first book. So the first book is like someone dies and leaves, like a billionaire dies and leaves all his money to this girl that doesn't even know him, and the family's not so impressed. And then I guess, I don't know where book 2 is exactly gonna go. I'm curious though. I can't really say anything about it because it would spoil how book 1 ended. But I highly recommend reading the Inheritance Games if you haven't, and then checking out the Hawthorne Legacy. Then, okay, this one I'm a little bit more like cautious about. This book is called Defy the Night by Bridget I cannot say her name. Kemmerer? Like the person that wrote A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I thought that book was like kind of mediocre. I know lots of people love it. I wasn't in that like camp. But this one is a fantasy story about a prince and a girl. So okay, this is probably like YA romancy kind of again. But I'm curious because I feel like A Curse So Dark and Lonely for me was like close to being awesome. But I like missed that. And so maybe this one will be. I'm willing to give her another try. Then another book that was kind of mediocre to me was, oh, I'm totally blanking on it, but the cover was gorgeous. Totally blanking on the name. And then the second half of it came out this year, I think a couple months ago maybe. That one was called Namesake. And then the author is Adrienne Young, and she has this book called The Last Legacy coming out. So there's a couple authors that have multiple books coming out in 2021. I'm wondering, were they like really bored during COVID and like writing extra? How do some of these people have 2 books coming out this year? Like it must be COVID boredom, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, The Last Legacy is it's a standalone about family and blood ties, reinventing yourself and controlling your own destiny. Not really something I like believe in, but it might be interesting to read about. I don't know. I feel like the book that I read, that I'm totally blanking on the name, it was good. It was like a piratey story, but it kind of like just wasn't quite amazing. And so she's another author where I feel like she could write amazingly, so I'm gonna give it another try. Okay, a September book that I've already read is called Trace of Doubt by Diane Mills. This is a Christian suspense, definitely a romance thing going on as well. Actually, I don't like the word romance. It's relationship. I'm gonna like rename. Usually, often, 50% of the time, this is really going downhill. I feel like there's Christian suspense with romance, and there's Christian suspense with relationship. Just because someone ends up in a relationship doesn't mean I dislike the book. But when it's like physical attraction romance, that's when I have issues with it. Anyway, this one was a really good one. Trace of Doubt. It's about, okay, well, first of all, our main character is an ex-con who just gets out of prison for spending 15 years in jail for killing her brother-in-law. And guys, I loved the ex-con side of things. Like, I've never read a book really about an ex-con, I don't think. Definitely not like a Christian fiction book. And then the themes of faith and forgiveness and grace in this book were amazing. Like, our main character wasn't just like, oh yeah, I go to church, I'm a Christian. But like, no, every decision, everything was based on her faith and her belief and her love for Christ. And that was really good. And this was the first Diane Mills I've ever read. So I'm definitely going to be picking up some more of her books for sure. I have high hopes that her other ones are just as good. And then the last book from March is called Star Mother. I can't find it now, of course. Okay, yes, it's called Star Mother. It's by Charlie Holmberg. I'm not sure. This one sounds kind of weird. It's like the sun god chooses the village of something, but so it sounds very like new agey, which is not my thing at all. And the author is Mormon or went to a Mormon university, so I'm not sure. But I feel like some of her other books that I've read, blanking on the name right now, Spellbreaker and Maker, they were interesting and had some interesting elements of faith, but also some things that were like, I don't know, kind of red flaggy. So I'd be curious to read another book of hers, but honestly, now that, like, the more I like think about this, the more I'm like, I'm not sure if this is the one. I'd maybe be curious. I started The Paper Magician, would maybe be more curious about that. Anyway, if you're going to read The Star Mother or have, let me know some thoughts there. I'm curious, but kind of think it's going to be a little bit too, like, weird. Now we're on to October, and I haven't read like books 2, 3, or 4 in this series, but book 5 is coming out, and the book is called The Shattered Castle. This is the Ascendance trilogy, a series by Jennifer A. Nielsen. So I read The False Prince, that's the first one, and I've heard amazing things about the series. So book 5 is coming out, and so I want to finish the rest of the series so I can read book 5 when it comes out, but we'll see. I've got a lot of series I want to read this summer. And then I think the final book on my list, let me know if I'm missing some awesome ones, but still without really having a release date, is Brandon Sanderson's third book in Skyward. I think it might be called Nowhere, but I'm not 100% sure if it really has a name yet. But I'm waiting to see what happens with Spin and where the series goes. So I want to reread book 1 and book 2 and then read book 3. Yeah, so these are pretty much all Christian fiction. Most of them. Definitely the majority. And I'm excited for like the next half of the reading year because there's a lot of good books coming out. So let me know what you're anticipating for this next half of the year. And yeah, because I definitely want to check this out. And let me know if there's any of these that kind of like piqued your interest. Thanks for watching, guys.